나는 먼저 기부 딩기 Lam Rim Text 조 가르코미아를 람나 네 아주게 타르바 된게 삼바딩 아주 줄라 계기 제도다 타르바 토고도 선배 된여기 된바디 네 양아주 야네 양도 코미아리 조디리 나다 타르바 된게 삼바 타르바 토고도 선배 된바디 계제 니토네 아주 냠네 제디다 니심바다 추준서바 준주 네 산딩에진 신의 주야다 모두스네 셰럽기 냠네 제디리로와 다른 저기 탈바 토고도 선배 된얘기 뒷바디 삼로도 숙침보다 영야라 는 가르치는 연구를 남나 나보는 코발이야 는 인범매바 통고 코위기 균 통고 거래서 코위 균 통하나 는 코와들 탈고도 선배 삼로 얘기래서 이 삼로 코발에 탈고도 선배 삼로에도 코발에 탈베게다 다 탈바세데 토고도 선배 삼로 레토그래서 현자나 코발이야 균 통고 거래서 나는 디시거로 와
Good evening. We're continuing to look at the practices that are shared with the being of intermediate capacity. So just to remind ourselves that a being of intermediate capacity is a practitioner that has a strong yearning for liberation from cyclic existence, for freedom from suffering. So a practitioner of intermediate capacity has this as their goal, and this very thought of needing to attain liberation, this burning desire dominates their every intention. And so that is the motivation of a practitioner of intermediate capacity. Then the primary practices that they engage in are the six of generosity, ethics or ethical restraint, and patience, joyous perseverance, concentration, and wisdom. But in order to become a being of intermediate capacity, a being who has given rise to this yearning for liberation, then one has to meditate well on the faults of cyclic existence, because it's only through coming to see with vivid clarity that cyclic existence in its entirety is pervaded by suffering, that there are only faults to be found in cyclic existence. There is no happiness worthy of striving for as one's final goal. That one can give rise to this wish for liberation, this mind which marks a being as a practitioner of intermediate capacity.
안지소 조와리루 레다 녀모모 깨알림비 조와리루 요레스 지산다 디네자 녀외 둥하다 아니 이다기 둥하이 둥게 둥하세 규엔데 예케싱한도 기부 충외 람미림비 시베 갈라 시차라 단 기부 딩이 가서 시베 갈라다 안주게 밀리아 깨반다 가나 요를 할게나 가라지 둥하 가르가라 요세네 다 밀리 깨바이네다 안주게 미 마이게 온도 나바이나다 기외 둥하세다 아니 지게 가르소레 아니 가비 동화 아니 치비 동화 세하다 아니 데네게 아니 동화 바토메 봐 요래 세징 디고 시행스 그신 기위 동화나 가위 동화 나위 동화 디고마 시차르제 나 디를 마셔야 되마 치위 동화에 고마 삼다나고 시야와
In order to be able to reflect well on the faults of cyclic existence, one has to understand then what is samsara or cyclic existence. So this is the state that we find ourselves in, where with no control we take rebirth after rebirth due to our contaminated karma. This contaminated karma, which we accumulated under the influence of our own afflicted minds. So the process is, under the influence of our afflicted minds, we accumulate contaminated karma. This leads to uncontrolled rebirth that we have no control over. And therefore, this process, this wheel of rebirth after rebirth, is cyclic existence, is what's meant by cyclic existence. And these uncontrolled rebirths can be taken in one of a number of realms. And these are divided into those of intense suffering of the lower realms, of the hells, of the spirits and of animals, and then those of the happier realms or higher realms, those of humans and the various types of gods. So previously, at the beginning of the year in February, we looked at the sufferings that are experienced by beings in the lower realms. And so those are included in the trainings that are shared with a practitioner of initial capacity. Now in the practices that are shared with a practitioner of intermediate capacity, we are looking at the sufferings of the higher realms, in particular the human realm. So our text presents the eightfold division of suffering, of which we've looked at the first three, that of birth, and then last week we looked at aging and sickness.
ane chiki mahomba na dunga di miye ge tablam da ane bezu che ri khaba yung gorwa ta dunga di ge yong sabai na ane dunga di yong shimbe kabla kanga chedi kabla ane che che ge nyamnyam ko gapsha ra go ma che za dini enza dunga di ge dini dini yong gre se di ra che che ya de ane dini ge ma yang nye le na nga zu ge ta chiki tablam kar bezu che go do kar nyamnyam che go re se di ta dini ge mana wi kap de la 고갑 탕낭 당 고갑 유비 갑라 다 원고기 냠내 제거야디 제 고야기 인자 제 고야 인자 디니엘에 나딘데 용고를 세징아 모델을 지거로
A further reason that we need to understand the sufferings of cyclic existence is because when we are in a state of intense suffering, then we do not have the capacity or the mental capacity then to be able to analyze our situation and apply antidotes or solutions to our situation, because then we are overwhelmed. This is most evident when for those who are now suffering in the lower realms. But for us now in a higher realm, as a human existence, when our suffering is not overwhelming us, this is the time, this is the opportunity to look with clarity at our situation and come to see with clarity how we have experienced suffering throughout this life. And whilst we are in a period now where our suffering is not overwhelming us, this is when we need to utilize this opportunity to understand samsara well as in addition to that, to understand the methods, the techniques, to be able to break the wheel of samsara, to break free from samsara and attain freedom. So it's in the time when our suffering is not overwhelming us that we shouldn't relax and think that it's all okay. But this is the time that we need to, this is the opportunity that we need to use and use well.
치왕이비기 네 잡부에 탭나 아니 치워래시 나르지기 랭은 남라니기 아니 미세 동세는 송안에 제스 치왕이비 네 잡부에 탭나 치워시 나르지기 랭은 남니기 아니 미세 동세도 송안에 제스 제hen세도 미세 동세도 송화세 돼. 미세 동세 송화네 제hen세.
Now on the top of page 29, thoughts of harmful verbal and physical deeds he committed during his lifetime cause his heart to fill with regret, and he recollects all that he has left undone.
당한테 치왕이 내 잡에 탭네 시도 당한 주게 시에게 다 지단의 시고라니 시에 들려다 되게 망고 가브리엘이야 이제 다마랑 주게 답변 중에 시야다 되니기다 나는 시야기 내 마고 직 담아라 연구로 와지 내기 내 잡고 시야기 내 잡고로 지내서 내용도 안다 시설에 선비가 아주 삼나를 리로 하시래 치왕이 비긴 내 잡고 템나 치왕이 시설도 나자다 되니기 깔래하고 당아 시설에 선비 삼나치 리고 레지로
So we're starting with actually the end of the final sentence on page 28, which basically expresses that when death is approaching, then often one is aware that death is approaching. So the causes for death are manifold. So this here is referring especially to death due to old age or illness, where one is aware that the time of death is approaching, as it says here, where death appears as if in front of one's eyes.
야가요로 엔자다 시에게 다 시설에서 베네다고 깔래하고 그랬다 시설 상명도 다 셈체 셈마기와 제거로 와서 동아 집에 동아시고 내게 시설에서 베 섬 당지 되네게 하고요도 되네 시설에서 베된 셈마기와 제거를 해지래 이다 집에 동아 제거로 와서
So we're looking now at the fourth of the eight sufferings, which is the suffering of death. And this commences in the period leading up to death, where one knows one's death is approaching. And then the mind usually becomes dispirited, the mind becomes upset, because one's life that one has been clinging to is now coming to an end. And this tends to be the case where one's life has been short or long. When death approaches, the mind becomes unhappy. And this is the first of the starting of the suffering of death.
수수기 심지어 소주 제바다 수수 셴레 녀바 제바다 구마구와다 되니게다 셴레 뉘비게 자와가지 제나디 수수수랑 제제 다 시로치도 쟁기리에서 제여도 아다딩이 되는 시에서 다디기 제보디야 동아 용고를 선비게 네디 려가 두제 제바 노트 셰샤 선비게 교와 용고를 해치래 다디니게 셈마기바 샤거로 와디니게 당에 되네 제 다디기 동아딩아 제보디 용고를 선비게 삼로 일려도 되네 셈마기바 동아레용으로
Turning over the page to page 29, then knowing that we're staring at death, staring into the face of death, then not only does one experience a great suffering, knowing that one is about to depart from this life, but also then one's mind naturally goes back to one's misdeeds that one engaged in this life. And here great regret arises for our harmful physical or verbal actions that we've engaged in. And not just for the harm that we've caused to others, but also the wrong choices that we've made. Now that we know with vivid clarity that it's too late to do anything about it. Those wrong choices we've made, the harm that we've caused, now it is too late to do anything about that. Moreover, the suffering that one experiences is further enhanced knowing that the results of those actions, they await one. And this too weighs heavily on the dying person.
미세 동세도 송안에 제해서 미세 동세도 송안에 제해서 미세 동세도 송안에 제해서다 소소 네베 링델이야 데오다 고갑 유리갑라 소소 계조 마주바체 즉 개화균의 마주바 디바견 체리바자 동세에서도 개화균의 마주바자 개화 계획 자화균의 마주바들라 동바시고다 미세 동세에서 되게 다 소소라는 게다 지금 제사야 동야당 지금 샤리아 되게 토네 고걸 내가를 고걸지 아니 지게네 아니 가르 동바 차와래라네 나주 개와 주역이 개위 자와 균에 마주와산 개와요 말 마사와제 디 동벌에서 지산 되게 미세 소소 데비링라 데보 예비링데 미세 디링데야 소소 개와 마제바제 아니 개와 마사바지 소소 하고 그러와 지산 되게 개와 사야망이 개위 자와 딘 제요 말에 섬제 디서 하고 그 쟁거레스 지산 잼바자다 가르섬제 대신에마 디바베 망보딘데 디바 제 인세베 제르와 하고 그러와 다 개원의 제요 말을 섬 제요도 는 가르치고선 땅아 아니 시내다 동아용 고차그리에 선배기 되니기 동아 안셈이야 강아 셈제 용고로와
The first sentence on page 29 concludes with, he recollects all that he has left undone. So the person now facing death is not only suffering due to their impending demise, not only suffering due to regret for the harm they've caused to others and the wrong choices made in this life, but regret and suffering also arises because of all that has been left undone. And this specifically then refers to the life that has been lived. In that life, one's potential has not been achieved. One's capacity has not been fulfilled. And specifically here, regret comes for opportunities that were there to live a life of meaning, a life where great virtue was accumulated, a life of great benefit. This now is lost. And again, it's too late to change the trajectory of one's life because one's demise is abundantly clear. So therefore, this is a third reason for suffering to arise. That firstly, death is coming, regret for past misdeeds, and regret for not having accumulated virtue and thereby not having fulfilled life's potential.
개와 마사반자 개와 매바래 지자 동반녀 동반하시래 세우라 세세디 뒤수 조바래서 조르고래지 세세도한테 자 칼라마스 세니 조르고 지자 되니기 뒤수마 만족의 자와를 코라치네 개와 기네 마사바 뒤수수진 뒤수다 시에긴 삼들이 뒤수디 파조 송와래지 세세 동세도 세 근데 송세도 두신 뒤수 동바데 뒤수 마 조제 아니 조와래서 니 조바데 쟁교와래지.
What we don't have in the English, but the Tibetan refers specifically to a vessel that is depleted. So here at the time of death, when one knows one's lifespan is now exhausted and the end is near, one sees oneself as being like a depleted vessel, an empty vessel, in that on one hand, one's lifespan is now exhausted. And moreover, the potential to fill the vessel with virtue, that potential is unfulfilled. And the possibility to fill the vessel with virtue, the potential to fulfill our life's capacity or live up to our life's capacity, this possibility is also exhausted because our lifespan is now exhausted.
나한테 류 롱주 니시 코리오 남당 자와니 시 세도와
And continuing, he understands that he soon must leave his body, friends, relatives, associates, and possessions.
다 류시도 소소고 류시고로 다 소소시르도 소소 류디 샤체 직 남시 두고 다 류다 자주고 바디 하고 거자다 데니기 류다 자주고도 선배 삼려도 데네 셈마기 바 샤다 셈마 강아 우리시 류세 디시고로.
here the dying person, they develop intense suffering, knowing that their cherished body is going to be left behind, because all that will continue into the next life is one's consciousness.
다 롱주에 시고로 롱주에 라데다 소소라는 게 세딜에 사셔비기 되지게 강바다 사제다 안에 지게 다 규절하다 안에 지금 뭐 가르 예배나 디 롱주 차사 다 소소시로도 롱주디 쟁케메르바다 롱주 예바다 하고 거 소소 예어레스 다 케르엔메 지상 샤 롱주다 차데 베 롱주들라 차비게 차와든 예디로 와서 지상 차과 예바자 다디 디디디디 다디디디 대지사 대지 차사데 당아 대단님도 잘하고 다 매바 차르고 삼제 안데니게 강아치고 레지 동아 용고 레지로 롱주 세데.
Furthermore, the mind becomes unhappy because one's cherished possessions, they too will remain next to one's soon-to-be corpse. And no matter how much desire one has for one's cherished possessions, these possessions that one acquired with such difficulty, these too one cannot take with one.
아데네 신인스도 신인 람나다디 라마다 로미기 기체 신인스도 로마도로 신나다 소소저 직 소소시로 지되 안메 소소게 기회 신인디게 쟁기르와 제다 안 소소게다 기회 신인디게 소소게 잠을 여바이네 소소다 마시사 기회 신인란 직 다제야메 바치 잘로서레 선비게 셈트 용고레 지르와.
In the Tibetan, then there's some terminology. It's a little different here for us in English. That relates more if one is an ordained person, or a teacher rather, an ordained teacher, where you're leaving behind then not only your body and your possessions, but also your students and your attendants. And even if you're in the presence of your spiritual teacher at the time of death, you also have to part from your spiritual teacher.
양 소수의 니엔시오라 세수의 니에도 니 소수의 분자 안에 소수의 파마 안 되네기 지게 니엔사 되네기 되네기 소수의 니에도 소수의 파마다 분자다 다 소수의 되네기 지게 조보 거원여고 대소의 여바네 안 대소님도 지게는 대소의 시로지도 대소의 바 대소래야 차고게 차과 여바에서 차과 여바에서 다딩아 대소님도 제주고 다 공수 투야라고 말씀비 안 대소님도 자하게 되어 요마로 하자서 다 되네기 자하 되면도 되네기다 소수 시로지도 대소래 차네 안데 샘테 연구를 해지 강화 연구를 해지래.
Moreover, if one's surrounded by one's friends and relatives, no matter how much one cares for them, even though one may have, or is likely to have spent one's life with them, they cannot help us now. They cannot accompany us now. And this then too causes more mental disturbance.
달 소술량님 욕보다 되는 레갈레한다 되니게 망부 요바는 코라다 소수게야 지기 되니게 코라다 욕보다 레갈레한 되는 망부 요바는 아대선 할이야 되니게 코라다 되는 욕보 차사다 되니 샤샤중아 되니게 샤샤 조어서 선비기 아 되니 대수님도 자르고 선비기다 되니게 셈트 용고래 지르와다.
Likewise with associates, which would include if one has staff or carers around one, none of them can accompany one at the time of death. None of them, no matter how close, how much we care for them, they too can't accompany us when we pass.
나도나라 가르시고라스네 소소랑랑기 마시 니엘 소소 유비갑라 소소게 아니 개와마세바체 개와마사바체 디벨레사 안지 소소게 디벨레사네 소소게다 레체네 아니 규자라가제 사여바이나다 소소게 분야다 아니 소소게 지게 파마다 분야 소소게 조보 아니 소소게 레갈레간 소소게 요보 코르 아니 소소야 랍제게 행한다 디비 신야라 소바데 여바이나야 소소게 디네 기위 여마제바 디바치네 디네 치료 제바이나 마시디 갑라 근데 차상 야샤 줘야마다 수지 로버티를 취해야 말해서 다 규제라가 저 옆에네 소소 안디지 기제 해야 말해서 안 소소게 이니도 본자 안 코르요 안 소소 럽디지 연라서 봐 옆에나 차상 로버티를 해야 말해서 지상 차상 야신 조고 그래지 봐 돈다 디시로와
In summary, what this thus far the presentation is that when death comes, no matter what possessions we have, how rare or precious they are, or how much we value them, they cannot help us. We cannot take them with us. Likewise, if we're surrounded by loved ones, if we're surrounded by our family, our friends, our associates, in the religious context, our students, or even one spiritual teacher, none can accompany us at the time of death. All have to be left behind. And moreover, not only is the material having to be abandoned, but the opportunity to purify negativities is exhausted. The opportunity to accumulate virtue is exhausted. Now this lifespan is complete. This ideal situation to accumulate virtue and purify negativities is finished. So that in brief is what we've been looking at.
다 되게 시저도 안 소소 수부디에 냠도 캐줘야 매가와 매반자 수부디에 샤고 다 가르주고 수수게 넘버 쉐바 수수게 셈디 주고 그랬어 난 개와 치마 가와 주고나 수 셈디 주고 그랬어 제가 셈디 줘도 셈디 냠도 가르주고 그랬어 다 가르켜야 돼 가르 냠도 가르켜 주 냠도 주고 그래라나 냠마 디버사요나 디버디 켄 주고 그래 개와 사요나 개와디 켄 주고 그래 다디 개와 사요 바나 수수게 셈디 개위 바차요 제가 디 냠도 캐줘야 줘요 그래 다 디버사요나 디비기 바차데 심기든 샤반자 심도디 바차 디비기 아니 바차데 키에지 디티보디 미야 차고로 제가 되니자 네 아주 시리고라 아주 류디 샤체네 다 버치네 심디 지부초거다 심디게 다 가와 조베네 녀망아주 개와 제와네 개위기 자와 레사비 개위 레기 바차데 심기든 샤체 디케르요레스 디바 제바네 디비 레기 바차데 심기든 샤체 디 심냠도 키르고 제가 안속에 시리급을 키워줘야지 디비기 바차되다 아니 계획이 바샤이디 당한서 셈 저도 딩염도 주고 그래.
Moreover, this body that we've cared for and cherished our entire life, this too, like everything else, is left behind. All that goes to the next life is our consciousness. But our consciousness isn't, our consciousness isn't completely naked. Our consciousness is accompanied by our imprints. All the virtuous activities that we've engaged in this life, those imprints accompany our consciousness. But so too does the non-virtuous activities that we've accumulated, the non-virtuous karma that we accumulated. That in the form of imprints accompanies our consciousness to our next life.
Dini zadang zugi dadi dinigi da chiwi kalu dini yorese dini yungurese kishi dini shebanza da donda la nga zugi kar dinigi shidu kabla dini da su samdai renga zugi duschine ada shidu kabla da lu longju kare na punja kare na robo tijuya me ji tijuya me dus jizanda mebanza 다 개와지 미개와지바는 미기빌리게 바샤데 다 로고레 대체 디 제보데 마음 바나가지 민두고레스 디니 인사당 아주 시디갑라 가르케루도 줘야 두람나 다 개베 자와 두바이나 다 개베 자와 두바이나 개와같이 두투미나 디 바샤데 심기든데 샤제 단심 디 개와치마 줘디 안디기 바샤데 바 줘제 안디기 제보디 녀야디 용도 제네 인상 아주게다 시디 갑라 케드야 데 가리 조 케투구도 가리 케투구 민도 선배기 심지에도 다 류디에 케드야 민도 롱제 가리나 케드야 민도 아니 니니도 안데 지 로 가리나 치드야 민도 다 개위 신yen다 가리 예베네 파마분야라서 데서 치드야 민도 다 가리 줘야도서는 다 개와지나 개위기 바샤데 심기된데 샤양도 다디 케드야도 디네자다 디 데보디다 안쪽에 개와 치마가와 개월이나 디 제부디 민정아도 대화 연구를 제가 개위 제부 대화 연구를 제가 디니 인사 다 아주 시디급을 배제 예바 판도디 gewa dubi risha sambi denige samda janga to gewi tholaya gewa dubi adi bezu chewa di ani di je hore sigor tandala da di la je hore gewa je hore gewa dubu hore sigor.
Why are we talking about this? Because it's certainly not a joyous subject at all. But it is the actual situation that we have found ourselves in over so many lifetimes and will again whenever this lifespan comes to an end. It's important here to reflect that at our time of death, our body that we've cherished our whole life and cared for so, all our possessions that we've accumulated, as well as the relationships that we value with others and we've nurtured over our lifetime, our relationships with our friends and our loved ones, and even our spiritual teacher, none of those beings can accompany us at the time of death, nor our possessions, nor even our body. All that will travel with us into our next life is our imprints, our karmic imprints, our virtuous karmic imprints and our non-virtuous karmic imprints. So this is an important point to be clear on, because in relation to how clearly we understand that, we will put energy into ensuring we acquire an ever greater store of virtue and eliminate non-virtue, because it's this and this alone, these imprints, that will not only will we carry with us to our next life, but they actually determine our next life, and they determine the experiences in our next life. So if we come to understand this with vivid clarity, this is where we'll put our energy into accumulating virtue, purifying non-virtue.
Denige samda janga zuge gechu chubya, jisan gechu chubya di, ane karre lamna gewa chubda di, deji sheba nashin, da denige da, shidu kabla peme ge chwe di mato mindu, jeza da, gidi na le da nyomo wange shidu ba dana, ane digime jeza de le ya tar hudu senpeke tarba samda ya da, dine nga zuge lunga yisum nyechwe dimbi tsurim sonye dirwa, tsurim sonba ina, da nga zuge dade karre yungosina, dade ludi, nga zi shidu kabla, dade ludi paa shaache, di shaache, nyamdu kiroya yo marade, ina dada nga zi tsurim yakbo sonba da, ane sebe nyamda yakbo cheba ina, ane kienpa chima ludi, dade ludi nashi, nga zi milu rinpo che ta, ane delya, ane yala chasan, chang ongpo changwa, ane kasore, idu ongwe ki ludi ratu warwa. Chisan, dine ki ratu kina dade ludi nyingpa di gango, ke yewe na da ke me de ke ska me do ke me na ko lu ya hu sha tu ro ji san de ne yin zang a zu ke wa chi ma lu ya hu wong bo chang wa ane do da den ba ya hu yang la a zu lu nga yi sum ye ji de bi chu rim so ya re ane se bo ko me di nyam ne ji ya di a zu ke wa da de lu di ja de mo ba lu di ya hu yang di zu ye gu de de nga zu di sa ya de nga zu sam dang wa de ji san chu rim so ya da zhe bi nyam ne ji ya di cha de dada longju na ni do said ngazu longju de ke de yo ma khasane longju ka ji sa ba na ke de min do da sem che che go ma da kisim ma zu ge che de ya so su ge jin bi nyam ne ka je ya bo che tu wei ne da nga dada longju de ke de ne bi ji da de sa ya du ya da nga du lo go ya bi ji da ya so cha go ba ji da dada longju de ka je na ke de me ba ne da de nga zu ke wa da ji ka bla nga zu jin bi nyam ne ya bo che yo ba na and digi devo de jimbe nyamlengi bacha de ansem giten pa dugore deza digi devo de monbana longje kar ko bina azu rang ya longje kanga ma tu longje juya di gyute sa gore de zang an ju denigi sedele sa longje cha ru samyo de monbana de ne ya le azu gi jimbe nyamle je digi di devo ka so devo di so so longje kar na ka wa je we na de da timbi longje ya bu tu gore wa.
Ideally, at the time of death, we want to be freed from the possibility of once again taking uncontrolled rebirth in cyclic existence, uncontrolled rebirth due to our rebirth being propelled by our contaminated karma. But if we can't get there in this life, we have to, at the very least, ensure that we accumulate the required causes that our next rebirth continues to be good, that we once again achieve a precious human rebirth, a rebirth that is ideal to continue our spiritual development, continue developing as a being, and being able to have an ever greater positive impact on the lives of others. So to do this, first and foremost, we need to cultivate ethical restraint, as well as the practice of patience. Because it's these two that, on the one hand, ensure a rebirth in a happier migration, such as a human, and with patience, the results from patience also that our sense faculties are complete and we are faultless. So therefore, ethical restraint and patience are of paramount importance. And if at the time of death, when we staring in the face of our demise, when we naturally look back at our life, if we can say with confidence that we have been ethical, that our outlook, our way of thinking is ethical, and we have practiced patience well, we can die with confidence, with the confidence that knowing that this old, decrepit body that's deteriorated so, I'm just exchanging this now for one that's new and fresh and will be much more suitable to spiritual development. Then we can pass with confidence. And moreover, if we've created the cause of generosity, where we will then know that despite leaving all my resources and my wealth behind, I have created the causes to ensure that in my future life, I will acquire resources with ease. I'm not going to suffer in impoverishment. I'm not going to struggle for my endeavors to be successful. So we'll then be able to die with confidence, knowing that we've lived our life well and we've accumulated good causes, in particular ethical restraint and patience, as well as generosity.
Tsediki nye pamo punja nye do ane chike yobodan koradan deneki kiwi shinye suyo na denyum de titwa yo mara dedan tardu bores ine da anzugi tsedelia sosorangi shanlia jambada tsewa jamje samta shanlia ane chike deshi jimbe nyamla najin de sosugi shanlia jambada tsewa che shanlia pando gang tudu juya da deni tuba ina ane kewa chimalia sosoranlia yanchi Digi Keviki Tibuti Anzulia, and the Pama Punjata, and Soso Nidu, and the Yakoyagi, the Neki Sagorwa, and the Membe Dianazi, the Cedelia, Sosora, and Gejulia, Kantu Zundriche, Gavalia, Cardoche, Zundriche, and the Kivishi and the Tesulia Diabache, and Anzuki Kejuru, and the Molam Tap, and the Yawachima Kivishi, Yawoda Tower shows to be Molayana and Tapchebaina, and Digi Devolia Manzugan, Yawachima, the Kawaki. Anji sosolia, and give a shin doing a yabuada, soso chichi or yaburava, and the pamo punjada, and the singing you do yabuya, and in the yoa chagor, Tinezan Anjugi, Usayadi, Cedelia, Anjudus, in Sabaina, and the Kiwachimalia, and the yon to go wada. Zadi and Zadi Sahoyadi, Tablam de Tisuries or wada.
Furthermore, at the time of death, knowing that we have to say a part now from our loved ones, from our friends and family, our associates, and also our spiritual teacher, if when our mind naturally goes back to the life we've lived, if we can see that we've trained well in love and compassion, and thereby we've not just mentally developed well, but we've engaged in virtuous activities, physical and verbal activities, under the influence of love and compassion, we can then pass with confidence, pass on this life with confidence that we have accumulated an abundance of powerful causes to ensure that in our next life we'll have good relationships with all those we are born in. We are surrounded by, the family we are born into, those that we encounter. We will have created the causes of harmonious relationships with others, to be someone who's naturally loving and gentle towards others, and thereby have close and warm relationships with others. And moreover, if we've also trained in joyous perseverance, then as our death nears, we'll have great confidence in the strength of our virtue. And in particular, joyous perseverance is delight in virtue, which means we've delighted in the Dharma, hearing the Dharma, reflecting on the Dharma, and the Dharma influencing our physical and verbal activities. And thereby, we will have great confidence that in the future, in our next life, we will once again meet the Dharma because of the delight we've taken, the habituation, the joyous habituation we have to virtue, to the Dharma. And we can then have confidence that we will meet the Dharma again. And also, when you look back at this life, if we see that we've made many heartfelt prayers to continue to meet our spiritual teachers, to recognize them as such, come under their care and their influence, we can die again with confidence, knowing that in our next life we will continue to meet and be cared for by our teachers. So this then is our plan, this is our method, this is how we can ensure that we pass from this life with confidence and with a spacious mind.
Konma chiwa ngibi ne dawe teba na chiwa she ngarji gi liangan namne gyu se jwa oda nozhe chesa jiso jidang denegi tikwa kyanya che chue ma je ba da den yemna da kanga de su yungure si gorwa tanga zugi chedele ya sosorarang ge gyawa kangdu jidu drup dene sosogi nyemage jeje gi dibadi susu yembo topshi ko ne samda je sosugi anjige Geshe kasa dipa shaya na dene ki chumba ina dene ngarchi ngar dene dipa chi son kyoba ki marwa dipa debu nyongora sempeke samlo kanga di shiri na sosuge ne rakora teje shiye ki ta shisare sampe samlewe ne garasam garasan odanga daji sedele ya soso rangi gyawa kanya chiyon drupa yins Sisa nyemagi jesha yorde ina desu ina nyembo tupshi samdaan soso rangi an chik dikwa shaktum mangbo jeba yin da sambike samlya an semlo de uru yung kore chisa semlo kanga teki marwa chisa diniki sosuke chede la gejo kanyo chiyon drup ane sosuke che ngar chibi dikwa diki pa samdaan nyembo tupshi kone shaktum je nga samlo doya dang diniki ane shaktum je dang diniki jeba ina ane shiri kabla ngar chiki dikwa se gyoba kiya dang da nga chik gyawa 체들이야 겨 균에 마도 미세 동서의 친소선 배 삼로디 고고 말해 제가 디네자 어당이 강연 중에 제가 이 개와 강도도 제가 이 다티 내가 신의 디기어스 가면 삼백에 삼로서 로디 우용고를 세월다
So it's my hope that through this presentation you'll see that there are differing states that we can be in, mental states that we can be in when we're facing death. So when our time comes, and we know this lifespan is about to end, and our mind turns back on our life, then there'll be those who are filled with regret, as we've seen here. They're filled with regret because they perform an abundance of harmful physical and verbal actions, harmed many beings in a variety of ways. But there are others, and this group of others is whom we should strive to ensure that we are counted amongst, who when the time to die comes, they look back at their life, and recognizing that many mistakes perhaps were made, but those mistakes were recognized and rectified. Rectified in a variety of ways, but in our spiritual context, through the application of the four opponent powers. And thereby, the strength of the imprint on the mind has been greatly reduced. And not only that, but through the power of the promise, one has turned away from acting in a similar way again. One has committed and has gained success in not being so under the control of the afflictions. So in this way, when one looks back at one's life, strong regret is not going to come. Regret is actually not going to come because one will know that one has purified successfully and one has had success in transforming one's way of thinking, transforming one's habitual tendencies. And not only that, but the vessel of this life will not feel depleted to us. The body may feel decrepit and decayed, but the vessel will not be empty. Rather, because we have used our life to both purify as well as accumulate vast stores of virtue through cultivating virtuous minds and engaging in beneficial physical and verbal activities under their influence, the vessel that is this life will be full, it will be overflowing. And this way, when we look back at our life at the time of death, we will see a life that's been lived in a meaningful way, where the purpose and the potential of this life has been achieved. And then, when the time to pass from this body comes, our mind will be relaxed, our mind will be spacious, it will not be anxious at all about the past, but in fact, it will be light and joyous.
lunga yisu nyeje timbi tsurim soya da an jimbe nyamle sebe nyamle an zunje nyamle cheya da soso gewa kantu de che trupne an gewe shin ya deba cheya da sangyel ya deba cheya an ya an mo bana ndeni ki cheje nyamle go opche ya bo rawa sho sa da gewe shin chenyi da demba chewa sho so monlam cheya da dine soso ran 강연 중에 제여 버인다 난 시디가 오다 이 데네기 강연 중에 제여 데네자 주름 lunga is nyeje de 주름 야타 송와이 데자 개와치마 안네 라다 미고와 토지 투야게 라와이 선배sam다 소수게 제들레 진비 냠len다 데네기 쇠베 냠레 야타 제여 데인자 소슬야 안 개와치마네 안 최제 튕게 고화비야 보라 튕게 강아 책말에 선배sam다 소수게 샹리야 잠바단 제와 데네기 제야자 안 개와치마네 소수 강도 개와네 소슬야 안 지게 조고 가보니 보여야다 소수게 파무 분야 오라야기 안데 라투그레 샘베 삼로다 안 소수게 체델이야 개조 강토도 주 안에 기회신이라 대바자다 상gel이야 대바철에 대바체 안데 몰람 따와인자 안 마오바네가 가와께웨네 최지야 고비야 보라기를 기회신 야고 태기를 샘베 데니게 삼로 나가지 유튜브 차와인자 유튜브 안자 디 데부디미야 이인바인자 데니게 토하냐 소소라기 데니 제베이나 유튜브에나 semlia an kama matebaji and shidina semlia shi chayagi and she to she achita and she be near Mahobana and the Yabuyachi Chagurua.
This then is the objective that we should have for ourselves. That when we are lying on our deathbed and we know that our time has come, and we look back at our life, we can see that in this last period, through our activities of our body and speech, our activities of body and speech have been dominated by minds of ethics, generosity, of patience, joyous perseverance, a cultivation of concentration and wisdom too. In this way, great joy will come to our mind. Moreover, we have confidence that in our spiritual development, our receiving of teachings, our reflection on them, we took great delight. In our activities of benefit to others, we took great delight. In our activities to subdue our mind, to restrain our mind, in other words, to practice ethics, we took delight. So in this way, through joyous perseverance, we've created good causes to meet the Dharma. And also knowing that we've made many heartfelt prayers to continue to meet the Dharma, to continue to meet our teachers, we will then be in a place of great confidence, a place of great inner strength. And then we'll be able to pass from this life, leaving this body behind with confidence that we'll achieve another good rebirth, such as a precious human rebirth like we have now, knowing that we've created the causes not just for a precious human rebirth, but with this vast array of causes, we will be born into a good family, we'll have close and harmonious relationships with others, we'll have an abundance of resources, we won't struggle materially either. And due to the joy and the delight we've taken in the Dharma, we'll pass from this life with confidence that we'll meet our teachers, and we'll have great enthusiasm and interest in the Dharma. In fact, we'll embrace the Dharma again. And in dying with this state of mind, we'll pass from this life with a mind that is relaxed and spacious and looking forward to the next chapter in our spiritual development.
donda dishigor dangan zugi gewa mache bache dibo roche chen denigi jige shiwa ina ane sosoge tsedelya dibo kya shanlya neba che ane ji shen kuhor dan shen tupje dan sosoge benjo juya dan sosoge koryo mongbo yoba dan ane gyud nojo kare yoba ina ane jige pa shidu kabla ane semlya dine kanga tegire dade gyuje la sa shaba dige teya dan ninyu ka zene tijo nyamdu kiro yomar das ane 가르키 도그레스네 교랑이 디버사지비 디비 바차데다 셈님도 가와트로만 디히 두고라 제가 한 디기 대부 마음바나 동아용거레스 제가 디니게 삼다자 데제 동아티데 타고도 디니게 동아데 마타나 탑민도 셈비기 다 두스치나 삼당고그레스 타고 동아라 탈두게 삼바디네 제가 동아라 탈바세 톱고도 셈베 삼다 제가 다 탈바 톱고도 셈베 삼다네 탈바 톱에게 된다라 소스라랑기다 제디 가르치 왔으면 대시에반의 류가 이순 예주든비 추림송 쇠바곰 아니 전주 짬 아니 진비에 냠는 제다 잠바다 제위 냠는 제바이나 되네 디 계쇼가 탈바토야시도 계쇼 두고 하래 계쇼 두고 하래 이내 시위가 블리나 세다된 아주 시위 우치 시위 갑리네 삼로디 안강아티기 말해지래 제가 나 아우다 되네 디바 빼사서 당한 미세 동세선 배선비기 동아디 용 말해 당이 코르니 니도 샤사다 자루 빼사사라 선비기 내수의 동아디 용 말했어 아니 디 미용 아마세 니께와 치마디 아니 대보디야 아주 셈나라 가르샤바데 개와 먹고 사완자 개비기 진버 추전 쇠버 전주 제 가소레 추림 소야기 디 개와디게 차산 셈이 때도 바샤샤요 제가 디 시도디 디 대보디 개와 치마 안날 사다 미고마 토야 아니 롱주 중야 아니 소소게 니니도 용야 야고 용야 아니 소소게 아니 최냠내 제가 고급라야 된 기회 신년 챙이데 대바라야디 고급되는 라고레스 진짜 두진의 삼단제 다다 유딩 안 하고 고급 유딩 갑라 되니게 기회 제가 루트고야디 계체모레에서 돈다지시 거다.
To summarize this verse, this fourth of the sufferings, is through reflecting on this, we come to see that there are two ways that one leaves this life. Not just ourselves, of course, but all are faced with this. That those who have primarily engaged in non-virtuous activities, who have harmed others, who've been dominated by self-interest, and haven't turned away from non-virtuous ways of behaving, and haven't accumulated much virtue, at the time of their death, a lot of regret will arise. And even if they die in a way where regret is not possible, a sudden death, there's very little that can be looked forward to in terms of how the next life goes. And that is because the non-virtue that has been accumulated, especially for those that is dominated, not only will this serve to propel the next realm and body that one is born into, but so too will have an ongoing impact on the experiences that they will have in their next rebirth. But the other alternative is for those who act in the way that has just been described, who live a life in the way that has just been described. So we need to reflect on these two and understand that we have it in the palm of our hands, the power to choose which way we will live what remains of this life. And it's through thinking about this situation that beings all find themselves in at the time of death that we come to develop a disenchantment with cyclic existence, seeing that at the time of death, there is only these one of two directions to go. And one will go in the direction that one's physical, verbal and mental activities dictate. This is the process of cyclic existence, this continued circling of samsara. We need to reflect on this to develop this disenchantment on one hand, to break the cycle, because even when we do have good rebirths, like we do in this life, and we strive for in the next life, as long as one remains bound in samsara, there is always that possibility of falling. So this is one outcome to come to, the determination to transform ourselves. And this determination to transform our way of thinking, transform our mental outlook, comes from seeing the faults of samsara. And then, if we are successful like this, we transform how we live our life, developing a virtuous mind so that at all times our mind is ethical. In other words, not under the influence of the afflictions. That our mind is generous, wanting to help others. Our mind is patient, so that in the face of adversity, our mind remains virtuous, and so forth. Our mind always being virtuous. Then, when this life does end, and we're taking our last breaths, we'll be able to pass from this life without concern, confidence that we've lived a good life, and that our virtue will ensure that we continue with our spiritual development, we're born into a good family, good circumstances, and will continue to be under the direct care of our spiritual teachers, and with a strong desire to continue our spiritual development.
남시 장모 사실 토보들이야 참참으로 조회네 다 ben에 강리 조모랑 보세요. 디와야 참참으로 조회네 다 지 가르랍지 제고르스네 데리체고 가르데리체고를 남나 오두로두 되는데 고래다 한국인에는 고래다 데야 조디 디데리체고레 데리 마제반에 텔사치 남시 장모 요래 람가 깔래하고 오래 안지시 데니기 뒤트고 말에 지사 데데 나그리에스 강아데데 용구리에스 지사 디 강아디 마야엘야 뭔고 진아주 숨 마야에게 다된 가서 탑람 가르쳐 와서 나중에 디스트 데리체고래 디데리게 티고레스 롭된디고와 딱 롭된 때바 나신 전에 아주 라렌다제 데리제 케데 케바이나 강아디 용고 말와 롭된 때바나 롭된 때해 매바제 롭된 기네 때해 매바제 최소 줘바이나 강아티기로와 데리메로와 딱 롭된 때 여바이나 롭된 데 라라마다 바제 줘바이나 야 강아티기로와 베디나지로와 어디나신 아주 제문에 주나를 줘바이나 주나를 제만 저도 아니 그 주나를 저다 디공고를 데니시고서 탑람들 럽고 어디 맞이네 강아티기를 해야다 안데 저기 야갑진의 찔리샤는 저도 있네 어디 차긴 되네 거래 무이네 되네 대저와 라게 되네 거래 두수 거래다 디도도 안데 지금 매로 되네 대리지와 어디 만에 강아티기를 탑람 차사디 디제나 야고 용그래 디제나 야고 용구 말세 아 저기 지단의 톤에 차사디 희고로 와 당아도 개와 치마마 야고 저한테 디제나 야고 용그래 시리급을 강아 되네 용그래 디 되네 제나 시리급을 강아 되네 용 말에 디니 마제바이나 디니 제바나 시리급을 강아 되네 용그래 다 시산하는 개와 질해 줘야 디렌도 아주 다들 아주 개와 기회 자와 되네 사반 개와 치마데 야고 용그래 다 개와 다들 디바 되네 제바이나 개와 치마 누구 용그래 해야 돼디 개와 치미 꼴야 하는 아주 시리급을 강아 갈까 체기래 디 강아 세게 탑람 가라가라 요래 개와 치마야 아니 강아 간스 체기래 강아 체기 강아디 세 탑람 가라가라 요래 세디 당 아주 그 낭비기 최기도 돼 시고다 다 디수기 디시고래 지난 디게 가르시고서 아주 참참 줘야 당 기부다야 당 안에 지게 총객이 디고 탑람디 시고 말와 디 가르시고서 아주 개와 아주 시리급라 강아 되네 체기래스 지난 디 마체게 돈달랑 아주 삼을 가르당 거라선 다데나 아주기 류아스 니치드비 추름소야다 진베 냠나 세베 냠나 쯩네 냠나 잠제 고미야디 디수체바네 시리급리네 강아디 튀기 말에 아니 시네 마오바네 시네 개와 질렌디급리 강아티기 말에 야고장야 연구를 해서 그래요 다 데네 마제바제 디부장야제 개와 기네 마사바네 데네 아주 가스네 안다 시리급라 강아디 디시셰바나 강아디 용구레 시사베네 강아 가왈리가스 냐와 이다 두노 가서디 기기레 제사 강아디네 용구레 제사디 데네게 강아 시에네 야고 용하게 직당 강아 시바 강아니 니는 어쩌지 데네 야고 용하게 탑람 디용 탑람 디투고 그래 강아 용하게 강아 유디레 유디 메바서가 유디 세고레 세지 디스탑시고레 제사디 안주기 냠는 제디 니엘레 동어고 강아 먹고 라트에 제디 디제나 디 용고레 제산 디 용하 유디 가르선 디빌레이션 디 용고레 제려 Just 다른 간소 개와사와는 디버드가지 고숨기 추림 숨반 디버 파가지 뉴뉴사나 개와드가지 마사바이나 니 야용 거레스 제산 디레스 제산 간소 탑람 데네데 용거 제산 다데나 나솔야 제기 탑람 디치 제기 데리 제기 요르 고급 요르 제산 디데리 제고레 세디 단 동아의 시에네 저기 데리 제고야디 다 개와두고야디 류가 유스미니 그거네 개와두고 그래 세디 시고르다 도나디세
This is so often the case. The method that is applied in the Buddha Dharma is the same as is what is applied in one's everyday life. So if you think back to what maybe now seems like the distant past, when one could plan and prepare for overseas travel, if one had a holiday planned where one would go into the Himalayas, perhaps to Mount Everest, then one knows one is going to encounter specific conditions there. One knows that the roads are going to be steep and they're going to be uneven. The weather is going to be cold and supplies will be difficult to get. So therefore, it's important to investigate well and therefore be able to prepare and plan well. If mountains isn't the kind of holiday one likes, but one prefers to go, prefers the ocean and wants to have a diving holiday, then likewise, one needs to research where one is going and what equipment one needs. And the better one researches, the better one will be able to prepare. The better one is prepared for the eventualities, the greater the holiday will be, the happier the holiday will be. So this is the same approach we need to take for the greatest of journeys that await us. The journey where we part from one body to the next. Here, in talks such as these, we're gathering knowledge that is in accordance with how things are, and knowledge about something that we don't generally think about much. And therefore it's knowledge of great importance, and knowledge that is largely not thought of, and therefore we need to reflect on, because the better we understand what awaits one, the better we'll be able to prepare. When we see that at the time of death, there are only one of two directions to go in, and we know which we prefer to have, we then will put the energy into ensuring that we create the required causes. So in our preparation for this journey, when we know that, when we understand clearly what the process is and what influences it, with great ease, we will overcome our afflictions. We'll come to see our afflictions as being what harms us. And it's only the afflictions that we have, there's only our afflictions that we should fear. And this is how we develop ethical restraint. In particular, it's restraining our mind in an ethical way. In other words, not allowing it to come under the influence of the afflictions. This is being an ethical person. Likewise, attitudes of generosity and patience and so forth, developing the wish to help others, to give to others, developing the mind that stays subdued in the face of adversity or undisturbed in the face of adversity. So when we prepare ourselves well like this, just like when one prepares oneself for travel or a road trip, if one's prepared well, one embarks in a happy, joyous state, relaxed about whatever one will encounter. Likewise here, if we use whatever remains of this life well to increase on the scale of our merit, or the scale of our karma, the side of the merit, and increase that greatly, and the side of the non-virtue, to reduce this through the application of the four opponent powers, then we can pass from this body to the next with confidence, with a mind that is light and spacious. So this is the point of this reflection, and why this reflection is one of such importance.
칸에 감스다 칸에 카kam보차로 그래서 추 중화 지르되 되네 kam보차로 아니 추는 제세다디 최대지 파 태제 감네 되는 소득이 실로 되는 거라 추는 제세 then nani shom se no good pa dim to re chere then mini gong song sura kanjele mi di pa 주신 다 공고라 차로 공고라 공마 소세 다 우당 모두 지 우들이야 다 양세야지 우통도노 차로 우네 짝세로 해해서 우통도노 차로라 근데네게 다 가서는 누가 잡고 녀야야 근데 시기오래 지나기게 돼서 다시 얘기 되어요 말이네 되면은 미두신도 시오라요 말에서 시오래서 미두신도 치고비 동안에 연구를 해서지 시기도
Returning to the text, which then goes on to describe some of the physical signs of passing, he understands that he soon must leave we've read that, his body, friends and relatives, associates and possessions. His mouth dries, his lips shrivel, his nose sinks, his eyes fade, and his breath passes in gasps. Tremendous fear of the lower realms arises within him, though he does not wish it. Here, though he does not wish it, he dies. This is a key point, because for us, we take uncontrolled rebirth, but we also die in a way that's uncontrolled. And therefore, one often dies in a way that's unwished for, or at a time that's unwished for.
기승이마 셰반데 기위 갑을 동아 되네 여러 가위에 되네 여러 다 나위에 동아 되네 용고래 치위에 동아 되네 용고래 다 디수차상 영화데 가라스는 기와 딜게와 렘바데 레다 뇽모 온게 기와 렘바에자 안티는 아주게 풍부하게 동아이 된 바사 차고 진짜 되네자 동아 되네 용고래 다 되네자다 아주 기와 렘바데 레다 뇽모 기와 렘바에 강아 되네 용고도 델레데 타고도가 선배기 되네게 레다 뇽모 기와데 기와 야고시데 가이 레면도데 진짜 델레 타고 마탄데 타미누 선배 타고도 선배 삼다야 된다 타고 선배 두바게디 타르두게 타고도 선배 삼자 다 타령도 간스 타기래라나 다 아주게 되네게 기에게 유 레다 뇽모바데 빵고래 데 빵베게 빵바세데 델라 타르발하게 됐어 진짜 디토고도 디토바이나다 되네 기와 디나신 기와 레요 말레스 디네 강아테요 말레스 디네에다 레다 뇽모바 빵베 빵바 타르바세 마토네 탑미도 선배 토고도 선배게 되네게 삼다야디 삼다야디 야네야도 삼다야다 디네게 삼다네다 타르바 토베라 다 토고도 삼바 잠기 톱투야요 말다 간주게 타르바 토야를 녀려야 타르바 토야를 간주 냠렌제를 바셰 가르가르요스네 지기 되자게야다 공로게야다 아니 지기 지기 셈남이야 몽블리고로와 디수차상 가르던 리고스인다 미기 통네 근데 미기 통지 안될이야 작바게야다 공로게야 암초게 고네 작바게야다 공로게야 근데 지기 지시 요아데 데니게 드라마는 리용바자 다 데네서 류가 유스미기 녀죄 샹라 뇌비기 녀죄 제 동기 선비게다 류가 유스미고네 디바세 자와진 지금 에스비 돈바이나 아주게 냠렌제라 안에 바시디 뉴아 차르고로와 언디네기 주름 소야다 그래서 내가 직되니 진배 냠레 쇠배 냠레 준주 냠레 준주 좀야다 안에 지게 되네가 저기 띵이지 셔랍다 소소 셈 지지도 가제 되되되되 신내라데 또 마공바에 공마토베네 신내 마공네 소소 기회 자와 줍제 야 상계를 대바지네 대바지지도 제가제 되되도 제야다 잠제 삼단 지지도 가제 되되도 공바나 띵이지 신내 주비에게 원조 차고라 신내 주비야 타녀 차고와 마공바네 신내 주바이나 안에 신내 주비도 레라 차고 언디네게 돈에 삼다야다 야 지금 소소라다 지사 당 아주 레다 뇽모바세 뇽모바세야 딩 아주 뇽모 간스키도 세베 제바치야다다 지사한테 지요도 가르키고로 생각도 콩로 당보 지야디 제바치야도 콩로세 가르키고서 옹하세 당보섬도 나를 뉘어서 그 나를 뉘기도 나를 지지 라기도 삼제 네 되바디는 퉁이면도 섬 람사 디 콩라야디 잠보 나세 나섬 나 랑치진 섬도 기기도 지산 디원 그 콩리기도 야 잘라자 나를 고고도 딩주 나를 고고 선비게 삼데 당보 랑치진 삼게 디원겐 차바기도 지산다 영화도 뇽모게 규조디 랑치진 삼바 다세 마릭바세 레샤 선비게 디 타규 디빵고도 세베 삼다데 제바제야데 두 제바제바나 저기 콘로간스키우도 뇨모바칸스키우도 제자 님 콘로다 뇨마지 닐라 소소나로 삼노 가르코도 제자 가리기엔지 연구도 세베 가지고 두스치네 심주치야데 제바제야베나 안데 셔럽기 냠네 제야라 차고래 동번일에 삼마다베나 디니기 때 띠엔디기 남샤 가르가르 띠니 가르가르 띠니 연구도 세베 띠엔디기 제바제용으로 지데 동번이 제바제야야 안 고로스 마손 차고로와 데니게 삼다야레셔 당주
This is the third week of looking at the Eightfold Presentation of suffering. So we've now looked at the first four, which often are presented as a group, that of birth, aging, sickness, and tonight, death. So these four are presented as a group because we have these due to taking uncontrolled rebirth in cyclic existence, because as long as we continue to take rebirth due to contaminated karma accumulated by our afflictions, we will continue to have contaminated physical and mental aggregates. And therefore, we will be born without any control over where or what circumstances we are born in, and we will suffer. And we'll suffer immediately as we start the aging process, and then followed by illness, and eventually death. We need to reflect on these first four divisions of suffering to the point where we develop a wariness for this process of continued uncontrolled rebirth in cyclic existence, a process where there is always great uncertainty over not only how this life goes, but what will be our very next life. We need to generate a wariness, a fatigue for this continued process of uncontrolled rebirth, a disenchantment for cyclic existence as a whole. That's the purpose of these meditations on suffering, whether it's a threefold division or what we're in the middle of now, the eightfold division of suffering. And in dependence on this reflection on suffering, we will give rise to a wish to be freed of suffering, to be liberated of suffering. And we all have this wish to be freed of suffering. But we need to intentionally generate it within ourselves to the point that it transforms us. In other words, we gain a realization. We transform, we develop this wish of wanting to be free of suffering so that we have the strength of mind to readily abandon all the causes that lead to ongoing suffering and readily and with joy accumulate all the causes that will lead to freedom from suffering, for liberation from suffering. And it's at this point where one's values change, one's priorities change, how we determine whether we've had a good day or not, that all changes. Because what we value most now is our progression towards freedom, our progression towards liberation. That is how we determine whether we are living a meaningful life, whether we've had a successful day or not. Then in dependence on this meditation on suffering and this transformation of our way of thinking, the second part of the meditation then goes to the 6 trainings. So here, of primary importance is that of ethical restraint. So ethics is primarily about restraining the mind, refraining the mind from going in a direction of the afflictions, or restraining the mind from coming under the influence of the afflictions. So here we need to look closely at the process of how our afflictions arise, see how we relate to the objects of the senses, either how we relate to them through direct perception or through our conceptual consciousness, how we relate to things that we see or think about things we have seen, how we relate to sound, to words, to speech, or how we think about speech we have heard, and so forth, taste, touch, and so forth. Because when we've given rise to this, or to the degree that we've given rise to the wish to be freed of suffering, we'll want to understand how suffering comes about, how freedom comes about. And then we will have the strength of mind to transform our behavior, transform how we relate to the objects of the senses, whether, again, through our direct perception or through our conceptual consciousness, our thoughts of the objects of the senses. And in this way, we start to develop ever stronger ethical restraint within ourselves, restraining our way of thinking, restraining ourselves from coming under the influence of the afflictions. And then the other meditations are, of course, of concentration, generosity, patience, choice, perseverance, concentration. And concentration here, the way to cultivate it at this stage of our training is as we are meditating on the various topics of the meditation, whether suffering, whether ethical restraint or patience and so forth, as we give rise to an understanding of that topic, as we feel the emotion arising within us, as we feel a realization arising within us, hold that single-pointedly. And in this way, we're developing our mental factor, our consciousness of concentration. And in this way, we're laying the groundwork. This is a preparation for later when we do strive to develop single-pointed concentration. And then the sixth practice is that of wisdom. So wisdom then, we have been utilizing throughout this process, because wisdom has many different components, one of which is analysis, investigation. So we've been using this from the start of the meditation in suffering, analyzing samsara, the causes of our pain and suffering. And we've been utilizing it thereafter in ethical restraint and so forth. And now we utilize it in a specific way in the context of the training in wisdom. What is the root cause of all our suffering? We've already identified that our afflictions are our true enemy. It's our afflictions that cause us to suffer now and the future. So we look deeper at the process of the arisal of the afflictions. So our afflictions arise in dependence on an object, but our afflictions arise from something. And that is the ignorance of self-grasping. It's because we believe that there is a truly existent self that we have the thought of what belongs to the self, what will bring the self-happiness, what will bring the self-harm, and therefore aversion follows. So it's from this ignorance of self-grasping that our attachment originates, that our aversion originates. And then here, one can meditate on emptiness. So this process starts with a reflection on suffering, then to the causes of suffering, and then we engage in the practices of ethical restraint up to wisdom. And wisdom then, when we come to meditate here, specifically, we meditate on the presentation of dependence arising. So this then is the meditation that I encourage you to engage in every day. Next week then we'll continue with the presentation on the Eightfold Division of Suffering. And so we've looked at the first four, which are one group, and then we'll start with the next group. If you have some questions tonight, then feel free to ask. If you don't have time to hear questions, then feel free to go. Okay. Then thank you very much. Thank you very much.